Shall build a life and business legacy on purpose through mindset, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team so they can make an amazing impact and income and positively affect their communities worldwide. Ensure that you are sharing this show, you're subscribing, and you also are leaving us a review so we can create more amazing content around those areas to help you level up to the next level and also bring amazing guest experts that can share their knowledge and expertise with you so that you can create amazing legacy. All right, amazing legacy. Hello, welcome back to Life School Masterclass Show. I'm back with you with another amazing guest and conversation. Just as promised, another expert that is going to share with us today how to live your best life as a passionate entrepreneur. A lot of the listeners of our show are always interested in understanding how to get more juice out of life because we are passionate people. We work on purpose. We believe in our work. We feel our work makes a lot of impact in the world. So we're always interested to understand how to level up and how to keep growing and evolving as an entrepreneur so that you can make the most impact and income as well. So my beautiful guest today is going to be Sarah Buehner. I hope I said your last name correct,
Okay.
Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, my maiden name was so much easier. It was just like the color green with a B, and Buehner, we go with all of it. So thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to have you here. And again, I learn from all my amazing guests. So I can't wait to kind of have you access your expertise today to kind of share with us a little bit around you, the work you do and the way that we can get to living our best life. But before we dive into the topic, Sarah, can you share with us a few of the most meaningful moments that led you to the work you're doing now?
Yes. Thank you again for having me. And so for me, I'm a former therapist turned intuitive life and business coach and energy guide. And I take this multifaceted approach to me living my own best life, but then helping other people. And so for me, my background is in social work before I was a therapist. And I remember finishing graduate school and saying to myself, oh, so people just need more money. That's really, that doesn't solve all of the problems in the world. But if people had access to more money and resources, we would be able to have a lot more personal power, community power. And so I started out my career in social work therapy to help people live their best life through mental health, and then went through my own spiritual awakening and learned a lot of the more coaching, intuitive, energy healing stuff in my own life, and then started utilizing those techniques with my clients. And so for me, it was really an evolution from, I still very much believe in the world of therapy, but for many reasons, ended up closing my therapy practice and asked myself, how do I want to continue helping people live their best lives? And so the world that I live now and my own lifestyle and purpose-driven business is about helping people live their best lives through making more money. But you know as well as I do that, especially in the entrepreneurial world, it's a lot like corporate and nonprofit, where it's easy to lose your soul. It's easy to start out with that purpose and lose it along the way because of all of the things that business and entrepreneurship takes. So my own burnout several years ago led me back to, okay, how do I grow my business, make an impact, and live my best life without sacrificing my soul? And that led me into what I do now with all of my clients.
Yeah.
So that's me in a nutshell.
I love your journey because I also find that, I love your question that you asked yourself. So you're very clear. You asked, how is it that I can help people live their best life? And you got creative with that experience. So now you're able to kind of pair your past to your present, and then of course driving yourself into the future as you also always evolve. And I highly agree. As an entrepreneur, we start out with that passion, that fire, that strong self-belief that what I have is important and is going to solve a big problem in the world. And then along the way we get sidetracked. The challenges kind of defeat us if we're not really intentional about conserving on our energy, understanding, how to stay aligned with that vision that we have from the beginning and keep expanding and staying positive and all of that, which is so required, so that we could push through some of those. The mountain cycle is what I call it, as you're climbing up the mountain
Yes.
for a couple of years until you can get to the top, and then hopefully get the momentum to kind of roll down and everything just happens, right? So,
Yes.
but a lot of people might be at that beginning phase and stage of the mountain. And, I think it's not really years of business that you've been in, it's also the way that you've been operating. So you could be there for, you could be there for some time. And if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, most people give up, which is
Right.
so unfortunate.
Right.
So I love that you will share with us how to do that. So where do we start,
Yes.
Sarah? What are some of the things you've learned to help with that?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think you and I have similar beliefs. And for me, it's coming back to that question of what is my big why for myself and for other people. And I know most of the people watching or listening are purpose driven, just like you and I are. So it's what is that big why, utilizing that to ground us. I think about that every single day. In really, I posted about it today on my Facebook of when we come back to the service, when we focus on service and we put that first, any challenge we have, it's really about how. It's not, can I do this? It's how do I move through this? And that's the first piece. But for me, I think the former therapist in me really comes back to the very first thing is it's our nervous system. And to me, when I'm working with clients, when I'm working with myself, like Monday was my first day back from spring break and vacation, and I was ready to just ease into the week, and life threw stuff at me. And just there was all sorts of, just life happens. And so my first question was, how do I bring myself back to a centered, grounded space? And I really believe one of the biggest things we can do in business, especially as we're scaling, is how do I create that expansiveness in my schedule? How do I create that flexibility? How do I set my lifestyle up so that we don't just wake up and hustle all day and all day long and not have that ability to realign first? So for me, and it's a lot like the book that you talk about of moving backwards, right? Of starting with your end goal in mind. And I call it reverse engineering your goal. So what I often find is a lot of people start with, this is my passion. So let me get successful. And then once I'm successful, then I can take the vacation. Then I can work 4 hours a day. Then I can hire the VA. Then I can, they put the then afterwards. Then I can go get a massage. And what I have found is we really need to start with that end goal in mind of what do I want to feel like each day? What do I want my lifestyle to be like? What kind of home do I want to live in? What kinds of values do I have? What kind of bucket list items do I want to be able to actually afford and do with my time, money, and energy? And from there, and I think for a lot of mission-driven people, this is a piece, at least with the helpers and healers I work with, they skip the money part. And they're like, well, I want to help in this way, so I'm just going to hustle. But for me, it's where do I want to be? How much money do I need to bring home, not just make in my business to actually thrive in that lifestyle? And then what is the actual simple and easy business strategy and marketing strategy that will allow me to align with that? So it's doing that first. And rather than like the myopic, like, let's start here, and then once I'm successful, then I'll pivot, or then I'll fill in the
Yeah,
blanks.
I love that. So let it be easy, because we're not
Yes.
used to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially, us that want to make such a big impact in the world. The vision is so big. And sometimes when you get
Yes.
overwhelmed with that, you're like,
Yeah.
I have to hustle my way through that. And I never like that word, because if you're hustling, it means it's painful. And at this phase and stage of
Yeah.
my life, I don't want to feel pain. I just want joy. I want fulfillment. There's a
Mhm.
reason why, I chose the work that I do, but it's so easy to get caught up in all the things that are happening towards you and forget that, you get that feeling of not good enough. Like, well, if I just do this one thing and then one thing and then one thing, at least another, and then your energy is like sucked up, and you're kind
Right.
of, you lose joy out of the day-to-day work that you do every day. And you got to come back, and you got to remember that. And that's actually my question for you, Sarah, that
Mhm.
I feel like it's really important if we as entrepreneurs have this or learn how to instill this very strong certainty in ourselves and in our journey that whatever we want, we already have it. It's done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We know how important self-confidence and belief is. So whatever is it that we are trying to strive for or receive, it's already
Mm-hmm.
there for us waiting. So
Yes.
what's the point of kind of rushing through this process? Because that's kind of what I learned in
Yeah.
my journey, that every goal that I thought wasn't like pretty much the life I have now was a dream like 5, 7 years
Yeah.
ago.
Me too.
So
Me too.
so what's the point of kind of rushing through things and comparing
Yeah.
and kind of hustling our way through the day to day, right? Because whatever we're going to achieve, even if we achieve it, there's always going to be the next goal, because as
Right.
human beings, we want to always expand. So
Yes.
learning how to kind of be in the process and enjoy the day-to-day process and give yourself the things that make you happy along the way as the business is growing and striving.
Yes.
It's just a more sustainable approach to life in general, I find. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts around that, especially about that certainty, because you do energy works. I think it's really
Yes.
important to understand, to help people maybe with some tools to kind of instill that
Mm-hmm.
certainty in us so that when the lack comes around or our fear,
Right.
kicks in for certain situations, we can like, wait a minute, I already know I'm getting there. Just chill.
Yes. It's easier said than done, isn't it? But it is a thing. Yeah. And I have an activity that everybody can try really quick here in 1 second. And I want to add, as intuitive and energy as I am, I'm equally as high achieving. And I went to Johns Hopkins, I went to grad school at WashU, and just super nerd. I used to sequence DNA and thought I was going to be a doctor because I wanted to help people. And I faint at the sight of blood. So that did not happen. So for me, it's been this journey, as I'm sure I can feel that you and your audience can relate to as well, of I was programmed, and my natural disposal is to hustle and really, like, when I get passionate, hyper focus and ignore my needs, ignore my body, and be like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten because I'm so into this. And so for me, what I have learned, two things. One is that there's a difference between embodied hard work, right? It's working really hard, and disembodied overwork. I think they're two separate things. It's kind of like, perfectionism itself. The thing that makes perfectionism unhealthy is it's that all or nothing thinking versus it's okay for us to have high standards. The difference is when I have high standards, I'm not saying I'm a failure if I don't get there. It's a process. So I think it's okay for us to want to strive and work hard and do all of that. So I'm not saying that you have to get rid of that, but it's more about that embodiment, that alignment. Does that feel good for me? And the other thing that's really important when it comes to energy and alignment and living our best life now is remembering that when we are in our best energy, that is when we are most creative. That is when, if you work with intuition or you want to build your intuition, the number one thing you can do is calm your nervous system and really be able to, even if life is super busy, like I have kids, my husband's a first responder, there's dogs and cats everywhere, life is hectic. But if you learn how to create those spaces where you can have that calm, quiet space just to tune into yourself and build those intuitive abilities. So when it comes to living our best life, it's remembering that when we live our best life, we actually can serve better, and we can actually have the words that are coming in intuitively are higher thought forms, or we can tune into a higher vibration. We can solve a problem much more easily. And that actually saves us money, time, and energy. And so what I like to practice, and this is just like a muscle that anyone can build, is to really, there's two things I'm being guided to share today. One is to really get into the energy of your future self. You can pick a time. It can be a year, 3 years, 5 years, and really feel into, what am I wearing? How am I holding my body? How do I feel in this moment? What kinds of, that magic wand question of, if everything's going exactly the way I want, how does the energy of my life feel? How are my emotions? What am I doing each day? And really allow yourself to get into that energy and see if you can, I call it time travel. See if you can time travel to, you're sitting in this room 3 to 5 years from now, and you bring that into your present moment. And actually, my daughters and I, when we were moving, We used to time travel when we were in an apartment while our house was being built. So we would go to bed at night and I'd have them close their eyes and I'm like, imagine we're in the new house. And then when we moved to the new house, I'm like, do you remember when we did that? So it's really connecting that energy of future self to now and then operating from that space. If you can't do that, that means that you need more self-care. So there are times when I go to do energetic stuff like that and I'm like, this isn't working. Then that means I need to tend to my body, either food, rest, self-care, journaling. I need to deal with something that's more human than kind of the woo-woo stuff because we can't really create that calm, quiet space always if we're depleted here. So it really is a process. Alignment is a process and it's a journey. And I feel like the minute that you can start to practice some of these pieces and really decide that you're only moving forward in a way that feels good, that's going to allow you to move forward more easily. So I could rattle on forever about this stuff because it's what I talk about all day, but I'm curious what else.
I'm here listening very intently.
Yeah.
Love this stuff because I mean,
Yes.
there is so much to this. I also study neuroscience and I say it all the
Yes.
time. And there's so much to our level of consciousness we haven't even tapped
Yeah.
into. Crazy.
Yes.
And
Right.
I'm always interested in learning ways, things, tools, ways of being, ways to access that. Because when you're in that, when in there that space, not only are you visionary, but you can so authentically, creatively problem solve for your business,
Yes.
which automatically puts you in your own corner, puts you as authority, puts you in your own positioning that is strong and powerful because it comes from within, rather than kind of comparing ourselves, especially for growing businesses. It's kind of like, okay, well, there's other people doing what I'm doing, but I'm like, but no one can, is you. No one has that experience and authenticity. And when you make those decisions, I find that the most successful decisions of my business have been intuitive, have been things that have come from, things kind of channeling, coming out. I'm like, now I see light. That's exactly what my next step should be, rather than from all this noise on the outside. So tuning in to our high intelligence that we all have inside of us. It is amazing. It's like untapped intelligence that hadn't even, started to kind of unravel. So I'm always very interested in that. Sarah, I wanted your opinion on something that always sort of comes up a lot of times that I have conversations around this idea of the more you are tuned, you align with, in your journey with the things that when you connect the dots is what I call it, in your life that kind of are keeping you in a really clear path between your personal life and your mission or your business, figuring out how to say no to the wrong thing so that you can open up more space and energy for the right thing. I've found personally that when something intuitively does not feel good to me or I'm in misalignment, every time I make that quick gut decision that this door needs to close, much more grace shows up in my life. And I'm like, that was just what was holding me back. So now I have to learn how to cut the cord, in the right moment in time so that I could allow for all these other things to kind of show up in my life. What are your thoughts around that?
Exactly. 100% agree. And that's, that was the other piece that I forgot to mention before is around that vibrational alignment piece, right? And I think when people talk about alignment, it's like, it can be kind of nebulous or abstract, but it really is thinking about everything's energy. So every goal you have is energetic. And when you're making a decision to step into this energy, there will always be things that need to shift or let go. And so even yesterday, there was a situation that I finally set some boundaries in, cut the cord as peacefully as I could in my personal life. And immediately a book idea came in, not even related to that situation, but it was like this clarity, this energy, this vibrancy. And I feel like I'm back to my old self today. Right. And so I think I think when we're not thinking in energetic alignment space, it's like, well, how could my cluttered closet or how could this relationship or how could this pattern in my self-talk or in my mindset be impacting me? It's all energy. And it's what Einstein said of you match, that was Einstein, right? There's Einstein and Tesla have two. Einstein's the one that said, if you want to, no, that's Tesla. Einstein says, basically, if you want to create something, you have to match yourself to that frequency. And then Tesla is the one that said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? So we're in this cool intersection of energy, spirituality, and science coming together. So I 100% agree on.
Yeah.
It's especially like when you're growing your business, you may have, like yesterday, I heard to just vacuum my car out. I had 10 minutes. And I don't know what that does overall, but I know I feel better in that car, right? So that's an aligned action that isn't business, but it has to do with that overall lifestyle energy. So I think really thinking holistically about life and business together, and wanting and really aligning to, how do I want to feel now? And does it all match, and where doesn't it? And how do I take those steps? The universe or the energy can allow you to receive more without working harder as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So much intuitive wisdom here. Thank you so much, Sarah. I love that. Yeah. I it's like processes and things that we go through as human beings, but being aware, what's happening is definitely, like, we have the answers in our
yeah.
fingertips. It's just a matter of staying aware and understanding, what are those
Yes.
patterns. I'm a big pattern. I love, like,
Me too.
dots and patterns. That's my thing, because I'm
Yes.
more of a big picture person. So,
Yeah.
like, things keep happening. I need time to reflect. I'm like, okay, hold on, this repeated, right? What's that? Like,
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
a mad scientist,
Yes.
in your day to day. But I think you should, like, even entrepreneurship is a whole big science experiment. I always
It
say
is.
it's so complex, but then it's
Yes.
also so simple. So,
Yes.
every day you got to put your science hat on, and the more you raise your awareness, the more success you'll have in all areas. And success is defined by you. I think we need
Exactly.
new words in the dictionary in the business world.
Yes.
We're coming to come around that as well, because now we have so much more information. But energy is powerful. Energy,
Mm-hmm.
the more we can learn about how to access our personal energy, most important is, everywhere I go, that's kind of this thing, not to, and I still don't understand, like, what is it that people feel around
Mm-hmm.
you? And I don't know if you can explain it, but I always feel
Yeah.
like your energy, and I get
Yeah.
attracted to people and energy. Like, what is
Yes.
behind that? Can you maybe articulate that? Because I think a lot of people
Yeah.
might be
Yeah, I
interested.
can. Well, now add too that if you're listening and some of this, you're like, yeah, right, this is BS. I was that way about energy and even astrology. I learned astrology because I wanted to prove it wrong. I was like, there's no way that Mercury retrograde is messing up my life this much. So take that scientific method, take that skepticism into learning about spirituality. You don't just have to accept it, but say, okay, so I'm hearing energy is a thing. How can I test that theory? How can I learn more about this? And that's why I trust my energy and intuition so much now, is by having that skeptical science mind when I approach energy. To me, I think about it like, and this is science too, of our aura, or I call it energy bubble to my kids, is literally an electromagnetic field around us. And in many countries, they don't publish it a lot in the United States, but in many countries, there are studies about the electromagnetic field around us. And that when we are well versus when we are sick, the frequency shifts, right? And so even if you think about a cell in your body, right? And I always go back to when I was a therapist working with somebody healing alcoholism. If you just think about a cell when somebody's flooded with alcohol, obviously the frequency or the vibration that that cell is operating at isn't as healthy or fast as a healthy cell. And so you're literally changing that cellular energy, and it's emitting photons and electromagnetic energy into your field. And we can all feel it telepathically. That's why you can feel when somebody's looking at you. And telepathy is one of those words that people think like mind reading, mind control. It's more about being able to sense energy, sense into energy. And the more you work with spirituality and build those muscles, the more you can tune into that. And you don't have to. We all know when we're drawn to somebody versus when we're not. And to me, that's just I think all of us naturally are intuitive and we all can sense energy. But for many, many reasons, we probably don't have time to today, that's been taken out of our collective knowing, because it's much easier to manipulate or control people when they're not connected to that inner wisdom or their energy. So I really do believe we're in a really cool time where both science and the collective world is like, oh yeah, of course there's vibes. We all know vibe check, right? Like, Gen Z says vibe check all the time. It's becoming a part of our culture again. So I just really invite people to sense and play with the energy as well. too.
I love your explanation. Yeah, I love your explanation because you hear it so many times, but I don't think I don't even fully understand, like, how this is happening. So
Yeah.
articulating these processes, and yeah, I so highly agree. Science is now backing up a lot of this. So
Yes.
it's making sense for us left-brained, me as
Yes.
well. Like practical personalities that are like,
Yes.
okay, I got it. 1, 2, 3, I can practice it now. So that's kind
Yes.
of how our brain works. But yeah, there's
And
so much into this stuff. It's fascinating. I love the work you do.
I have 2 energy playing things you can do. Like, you can play with this. One is you can imagine or feel. So intuitives like myself, I use the word intuitive. It's kind of like we're all intuitive, just like we can all cook or dance, but you don't want me to cook or dance for you because it's not my gift, right? But intuitives are like professional chefs or professional cooks where we've honed those abilities and trained and have that natural gift. And so we practice that professionally. So intuitives like myself can actually see energy a lot, not all of us, but a lot of the time. But see if you can sense or feel right about here in your energy, like a bubble. And if you can't sense it, imagine it. And one day I was imagining it before I could feel it. And all of a sudden I could sense it. And I was like, oh, that's not just my imagination. And you can play with pulling it closer to you and making it as big as the room. And then there's all sorts of things. I actually have a bundle of little energy meditations coming out in the next month or so to help people play with that. Because to me, it's actually part of boundaries is learning how to know where our aura ends and where other people's begins for many reasons in life. But also just if you're going to tune into your intuition, you want to know that your energy field is yours and you're not overlapping with other people because you'll pick up on their thoughts and feelings and intentions instead of your own. So there's so much you can do to play with that. The other thing you can do is take your hands and just play and see if you can feel the magnetic ball here. You can just play with it. And it literally feels like 2 magnets repelling. That's the first thing when I teach energy. I taught Reiki to over 300 people in the St. Louis area, just magnetically. Like I just kept offering it and people kept showing up. And that's the first thing I teach, just so that we can connect with the fact that, oh my gosh, we are energetic beings. And there's so much that we can do to make our lives easier and more vibrant too.
Yeah,
So
I love that. It almost feels like a sphere. Look, if you just keep at it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, Sarah, I would continue this conversation for hours.
I know.
However, we do have to wrap up. I love
Yes.
everything you share with us. I'm so grateful for everything you did share with us. How is it that you help your clients? So what is your process like so people can get a little understanding around that?
Yeah. Well, and thank you for having me. I just love talking about this stuff all the time. And I can tell a lot of what we do aligns. So, as far as my one-on-one sessions, I offer single sessions and then coaching packages. I make it as easy as possible when people intuitively feel drawn to work with me. So, you can book a single session. And I actually use a lot of my therapy approach of it's not therapy, but okay, what are your intentions for our work together? And then I utilize coaching and intuitive guidance, my psychic sight, my channeling, the energy work, and aligned like actual real life strategy for life and business to help my clients solve whatever it is that's going on. So some people come to me because they really want to grow their business easily or they're at that burnout space. How do I make magnetic messaging? Some of my clients come to me because they're like, I'm just burned out and I don't know what to do. Some come to me because they want to build intuition. Some come to me because they know they're out of alignment in life or a business. And so that's what I do with clients in that way. And then I all this time have different offers coming out about energy and intuition and things like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the meditations. Where is it that people can continue the conversation with you further past this show?
Yes. So my website, so it's intuitivecoachingwithsarah.podia.com. It used to just be Intuitive Coaching with Sarah, but domains are having fun. I'm having fun with that right now. Anyway, there's that. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Aligned with Sarah Buehner, or you can come find me on Facebook as well. And I do have a podcast as well coming out soon. I had an old one stepping into a new one called Soul-Led Life and Business. So I will be sharing all about that on my website and Instagram and Facebook as well.
Oh, I love that title. I would love to be on
Thank
your
you.
show.
When we were done, I was already going to invite you. So good.
Feel
Yay.
pulled by that.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, again, thank you so much. There you have it, guys. We will wrap up for this show. I hope this was amazing information in tapping into our very, very high IQs that we have inside of us. This is really fascinating topic. And I want to thank my guest, Sarah, today for sharing all the amazing wisdom with us. Go ahead, follow her on her website and check out all her amazing work that she is doing as well. And I will see you in another show with another beautiful guest. Have a beautiful rest of your Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love to offer you a free high-level strategy call where I would love to hold the space and really connect the dots for you in your life and business alignment, from branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, and really have you walk away with insight on what you might be missing and what are the gaps you are currently experiencing in your business between where you are and what you're trying to achieve, so that you can get more income and make more impact with the work that you are doing in the world. Let me know if you'd like to connect, and I'll be more than happy to have a call and a beautiful conversation together to see if we can support you further with your goals.